Welcome to Amplifying Thinking Routines using Wixie. I'm Debbie Tannenbaum, and I'm really excited to be here with you tonight. I am a tech coach at Sangster Elementary School in Fairfax County, Virginia, and we're going to just go ahead and get started. So as we get started, I just want to remind you, if you signed up ahead for the webinar, your username is going to be your first name, and your password is going to be your last name. And if you didn't sign up, that's fine. Just comment in the chat and we'll give you a username and a password. But this is going to be an interactive session, so we want everyone to be able to participate. So with that in mind, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat so I get an idea of who's in here. Heidi, where are you from in Howard County? I used to live in Howard.
Oh, I teach in Ellicott City.
Okay, I lived in Laurel. My kids went to Gorman Crossing.
Oh, that's so fun. I teach at Hollifield Station. Yeah.
Small world.
It is small, right?
Yep, absolutely. Well, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So just to give everybody a little bit of information about me, this is my 21st year in education, and I'm a tech coach in Fairfax County. I blog on Tannenbaum Tech, which is my website, and I like to contribute to lots of different other places. Pretty much Tannenbaum Tech everywhere, with the exception of Facebook. And this month, my book, Transform Techie Notes to Make Learning Sticky, is going to be published by Road to Awesome LLC. So I'm super excited about that. So let's just go ahead and get started because I have so much goodness to share. So we're going to do two different things today. We're first going to understand what thinking routines are and determine some best practices for them. And then we're going to do some strategy smashing with Wixie. So go ahead and tell me how familiar you are with thinking routines. 1, you have no idea what they are. 2, you've heard of them but don't know much about them. Or 3, you know what they are and use them often. I see a little bit of everything going on here. So if you're 1.3, you're in for a treat because I'm going to change your world tonight. And if you know a little bit, I'm hoping you'll leave today with something new to add to your understanding. So I'm going to show you a little bit of this video. I'm not going to show you the whole video. I'm going to show you about the first 2 minutes to give you a little bit of an overview about thinking routines.
What can we as educators do to help students become better thinkers? One might assume that a good place to start is to teach thinking skills. But is teaching skills enough? We often miss opportunities to use the skills we have simply by not noticing times when they might be useful. Good thinkers not only know how to think creatively, critically, and deeply, they actually do it. They have a repertoire of thinking moves to draw on. They're inclined to use them, and they're sensitive to the times when thinking would be helpful. In other words, they're in the habit of observing, analyzing, and questioning. So can we teach this? Researcher educators at Project Zero have been exploring this question for many years and think the answer is yes. The thinking routines they have developed as part of their research invite learners of any age to be close observers, to organize their ideas, to reason carefully, and to reflect on how they're making sense of things. These routines are flexible enough to be used to engage learners with any artifact, system, or concept, including their own thought processes. Thinking routines are simple structures, for example, a set of questions or a short sequence of steps that can be used alone or with a group. They are designed to be easy to remember, practical, and to invite a broad range of thinking moves. They are well suited to leverage the power of collaborative thinking and transfer easily to any context. You can use them without training or prior experience, figuring out how they work along with your students just by using them.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there after giving you a little bit of an introduction. And what we are going to do is we are going to do our first interactive activity tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat. And what you are going to get a chance to do is the first thinking routine we're going to work on tonight. And this is called a Connect Extend Challenge. So I want you to think about what we just watched in this video. And what I would like for you to do is share how you can connect to this. What things did you already know that this connected to? How did this extend your knowledge? And lastly, what questions you still have. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes. Hopefully all of you are able to get into this and look at it, and you should be able to then add to it. Are there any questions?
Oh, you know what? I'm already logged in as me for my school for Wixie. So I probably should log out.
Yeah.
And log in with me. Okay. Okay. I see.
It's okay. Is it working for everybody else to be able to get in?
It is for me. I just typed in visual. Can you guys see that?
On what page?
First page.
I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm not. I'm wondering if it's not letting me into the.
So because you gave us each a link to click on instead of making it a team project, it is going to make it an individual, and you'd actually go to your students tab and then you would see their work.
Okay, I thought it would. Okay.
Yeah, it's my fault. So they are on the amplifying thinking routines. I did not have the other files to assign. So you see Carolyn already has that one right there.
Yeah, I do.
All right, so go ahead and click on that one for Carolyn. And I don't think you'll have the ability. Yeah, you can't add. Scroll down just a little bit. Don't think you can add a team member to it. Carolyn, can you add a team member and add Heidi and Tiffany and myself?
I sure can.
Because I didn't take off teams. And then Heidi and Tiffany, if you will go home and then go to your team projects, you'll see that Connect, Learn, Extend challenge that Carolyn just assigned to us as a team member.
So the Wixie's not letting me log in with my first name and then a password as my last name. It's telling me that's unable. Username is incorrect.
Are you using all lowercase?
No.
Try that. That's my fault.
Okay. I see it.
Okay, awesome. All right. And then, so since Carolyn's on slide 1, do you want us to continue on slide 1 or do you want us to each work on our own?
You can each work on your own.
Okay, I'll take slide 4.
I'll take 5.
See, I was thinking 2 and 3 for you and Tiff.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll do 3. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. All right, I got it.
And I realize as we're doing this, the primary goal of this is to just give you let you practice with this. And obviously you would spend much more time with your students on this. So one of the cool things about using these thinking routines is they really help us to think about things in steps. So when we think about this, if I want my students to connect to something and see how it adds to their understandings, then Connect, Extend, Challenge works really well because it builds on that. However, if I want to do something different, there might be a better thinking routine. So we kind of need to think about all of that. And so as we do this, it scaffolds our students' thinking into parts. First, I connect. How does this connect to my existing schemas? How does it extend? How does it add to my understanding? And then last, what other questions do I have? And the nice part about doing this in a team project is I can then share everyone's thinking, and it isn't necessarily, oh, well, this person wrote that versus that person wrote that. So it's really a nice feature that gives you that ability for everyone to see each other's work. Are we okay if I move on? Because I want to share so many other pieces of goodness with you.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. And now I have too many things open. Let's go back to where we were. So, okay, there we go. Too many things at once. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to just check out the next, actually, let's go back. So Ron Richards, who's a leader in this work, talks about that people who are really successful at promoting students' thinking, they use these routines to scaffold thinking. And so when we're thinking about this, like I talked about earlier, we first use them as tools, then we use them as structures. First do this, then that. And lastly, as we get better and better at this, they become patterns of behavior. So the next activity we're going to do is I'm going to give you a few minutes. It says 10 minutes here, but I'm going to give you a little bit less than that. Is I am going to give you a link. And this one I do want you to open as a project. So let me get that link. And what I would like for you to do is I want you to click on this link and take a few minutes to look at the toolbox. These are all of the possible thinking routines that there are. And when you click on one of the links, you can click on it and it actually has an explanation. So you can really look and see what it is. And what I would like for you to do, I'm going to give you a few minutes to do it, is I'd like for you to take your slide and I'd like for you to share something that you noticed that was really interesting that you might want to use in the future. Does that make sense? Awesome. Is this one using it as a team too, or I think it's individual, correct?
I did not assign any of the other things as teams only because I didn't have the individual files and I wasn't sure if you were building it into the presentation.
Oh, okay, it's okay.
So if you want to, what you can do right now is select teams from here and you can add Heidi, Tiffany, Carolyn, and Lindy. Melinda, I have her in as Melinda.
How would I get there?
Go back to this one right here. Just open this up, the one that you're on, and you should have a Teams.
I see the teams, but it just says Wednesday.
No. Go back to your project that you want to add the teams to. Go ahead. Okay.
Oh, I see it now. I got it. Let me go do that. I'm sorry.
No problem.
There we go. Okay, now you all should be able to get in. Did it work? I think I actually put you into the wrong thing.
No, it worked. I see it.
Okay.
So everybody else, hopefully everybody else sees it too. It's not the one that was assigned now. It says teams and you'll see the team icon on it.
Okay. All the fun of trying new things. I think it took you into my initial presentation. But that's okay. If you want, you can just add on to that slide. We'll go with it. So hopefully that's working and you're able to look a little bit at those thinking routines. It's a resource that you could spend way more than just a few minutes on because there's so much stuff here.
While we're exploring, would you be willing to share some of your favorite routines you've used with kids?
Absolutely. So while you're exploring, I'll share a few of my favorites. Absolutely. I'm going to go a little further in the presentation as you're doing some of that. And so I'm just going to share a few because I want to make sure that you guys get as much as you can. So one of them I love is I used to think and now I think. One of the reasons that I really love doing this one, especially in Wixie, is that with the fact that you can add a video right inside, that becomes a really great feature. You could have a kid draw what they first thought and then what they thought later. You can have them talk it with the audio. And so there's lots of options there. So that's definitely one that I really enjoy. Let's go. Let me skip a few forward. See, Think, Wonder is what we kind of consider that classic one. First, what do you see? Then what do you think? Lastly, what do you wonder? Same idea, lots of options for kids to respond. So like was in here, we have text, we have audio, we have video, so many options. It's really, really great for our students. Color symbol image is my favorite of all. The kids have to identify what's a color to represent something, what's a symbol that represents something, and then an image. One of my students did one where we were talking about being digital citizens, and they had to pick a color to represent being a good digital citizen. What was a symbol and what's an image? Tons and tons and tons of different answers, and it's really great for kids to be able to see each other's thinking. Think, Puzzle, Explore. Kind of like See, Think, Wonder, except for what do you think? What questions do you have? And how can you find out more? My kindergartners used this one when they were learning about the American flag, and it was really powerful for them. Nice, easy steps helping them to reveal their thinking. This is another really great one to add into Wixie. You have them take a viewpoint of somebody. A lot of times I'll use this with history. So, for example, not my kindergartners, my fourth graders were learning about the Revolutionary War. They could take different perspectives of different people, a slave, a British soldier, a patriot, add a video of them talking here, but also have that text there to support as well. So some really neat things that you can enable your students to do. And then word, phrase, sentence is another great one. What's a word to represent the concept you're thinking about? A phrase. And then lastly, a sentence. So those are all really great ones. I'm going to go ahead back where I was and see some of the things you guys have added to that slide. That's a great one too. I've been playing around with lots and lots of different ones. I've started to use 3, 2, 1 bridge. Absolutely. I like the 4 C's. That's another really good one. So there's so many, and there are some in the template folder, and I'm going to share that in a little bit. So hopefully as you're looking through all of these, you're going to notice that there's so many of them. And so you really have to think, if I'm exploring ideas, maybe I want to do a chalk talk. And you can look through these different ones and find the one that best meets your students' needs. So I think that's really important. Thinking about what do your students need and finding one that matches. I like using Chalk Talk a lot just because it asks the kids what ideas come to mind, what connections can you make to what others think, what questions are arising from that. It really puts the ownership on our students and really provides them agency. So these are all really great things that you can have your kids do in teams because it enables them all to share their ideas and then make connections to each other. So lots of really great things there, and they keep adding to this. So every time I think I've learned all of them, I find another one and I'm like, wow, I like that one too. So Tug of War is another really great one where kids get to say what they think about an opinion. So hopefully, look, this is, like I said, isn't something that you can just do in a short amount of time. So it's something that will take more, but hopefully just by sharing this resource, you're all going to be like, wow, I had no idea it existed. So with that in mind, we're going to really kind of dig a little deeper in the last few minutes on how we can take these thinking routines and really strategy smash them with Wixie. So when we're using those thinking routines in Wixie, I see really three main ways that you can use them. We've already talked about using that Teams feature, which we've been using. Also, and it's not going to let me do what I want to do right now. Let me go out a minute and see if it will let me. But you can also, you can also experiment with importing it into a class book as well. Or you can look at the showcase feature. So you have lots and lots of opportunities to really think about how you can add it in. So there might be some times where you don't want students in a team document because you want them to do the thinking and you don't want them to at first see others thinking. Well, at that point, maybe putting it into a class book. Or maybe you don't want to showcase everyone's thinking. You just want to pick a few. Then that showcase feature is really important. So it all depends on what's your purpose. So all really important things. Like we talked about, you have lots of options. When Wixie added video, I really believe it's a huge game changer, especially because you can add more than one video. And I love the fact that you can do that because it really gives you that opportunity to say, okay, I can add one video. We don't even need to worry about necessarily writing. Our goal is to get that thinking out. I know it's easy to get stuck in a rabbit hole on that site. It's such an amazing site. Like I could spend hours on it myself. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you guys another opportunity. Let me go here to kind of do some processing. We've done a lot of different information. So I'm going to see if this will actually let me do what I want. Not letting me do it. How would I make this one into a Teams project in this account? Danny, can I do that?
Yes, you can. You should have, let's see.
It's not giving me any of those options.
Make a copy, hit make a copy.
Okay.
And then open it up.
Okay.
And then
there we go.
Yep. It just wasn't yours yet to make a team.
I understand. So what we're going to do right now is take a few minutes. And what I would like for you to do is, I think I got everybody, is go ahead and give me a word that kind of encapsulates what you think about thinking routines, a phrase that encapsulates it, and then lastly, a sentence. So hopefully everybody's getting in. I see some people already typing. Awesome. And so right here, everybody's in the same thing. We're all writing, we're all adding on. So lots of collective thinking going on here. And just kind of keep in mind as you're working on these that, you know, learning is we learn through thinking. So by promoting all these things, we're really promoting thinking. We're giving kids a way to really critically consume the information they look at and they process, and give them a way to create a representation of that. So that's just so important as we, you know, work with our students in the future. And my suggestion as you start to explore these, pick 1 or 2 to really start with. Use it in lots of different contexts. And then when your students are more comfortable, then go to another one. It isn't like graphic organizers necessarily where you just go from one to the other. You're building a habit of thinking. These are great. So just to make sure that everybody knows, there are lots of these that are already on Wixie's website as templates. You'll also notice that every single one I've put in here has a hyperlink, so you can make a copy of it to use for yourself. So you're coming out with lots of really great information. Some of the ones have been made in the templates library, and I just did them a little different. You can use either, but definitely check that out. Are there any questions? We went through a lot of information. I'm really glad that everybody got a chance to participate. That's awesome. Any questions? You can open your mic or put in the chat.
I didn't have a question, but I just wanted to share. Yeah, Carolyn did too. Your blog post on this topic is also live, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for amplifying my voice.
Yeah, I think one of my takeaways was looking at the fact or fiction thinking routine, and a lot of people use a fact or fiction topical idea when kids are doing research, but combining that with, say, a list of the references you use to build that and answering those questions, like, what are they trying to tell me? How am I going to decide who's giving this and what's their perspective?
Yeah.
And how else could I interpret this? And what do you believe is true? And, sort of that initial sort of thoughts about the information as well. I thought would be a nice pairing to extend a fact versus fiction from something low level to something a lot bigger.
Absolutely. And so definitely check out the article. I had a lot of fun working on it. I'm getting much better at Wixie blogging. And just, a couple of other things as we go on, please feel free to connect with me. My Twitter handle's here. Is it going to let me do? I'm also going to put a link. I love getting feedback in the chat. If you want to give me some feedback about today's session, I would love that. Like I said, I do have a book coming out this month, which I'm super excited about. But definitely connect with me anyways. If you're interested, you can always subscribe to my blog. I send out weekly newsletters. This month, I'm spending a lot of time talking about Jamboard, but that doesn't mean that next month it might not be Wixie. I just pick a different tech tool every month. So I'm really glad that everyone enjoyed this. And thank you for coming. I know we're all really tired at this point of the year. Right now, we're in testing mode.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop recording.
Mm-hmm.